So welcome everyone to the Dictionary Project Presents. I'm really excited to have you all here. My name is Lisa O'Neill and I'm the creator and editor of the Dictionary Project. Woohoo! And I'm just thrilled. I'm just so excited to have all of you here and also to see so many beautiful faces that I don't know. It's great. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of context and then read this introduction, and then we'll invite our readers up. So the Dictionary Project is rooted in two things: bibliomancy, which is the practice of divination through books, so using books for signs or inspiration, that kind of thing, and the dictionary, which we all know and love and used to look up words for when we were reading as kids, maybe, and now. So, so the idea is that with the constraint of dictionary words, that you can, that there's an expansiveness that can happen. So the people that are reading, the readers that are reading tonight, they only got this word 2 weeks ago. So I sent them the word via email, and they have crafted something that has been inspired by that word. So the idea is to open ourselves up to possibilities that we might not otherwise look at, right? Unless we have this new word in our lives. So the word is retable, which as has been discussed already this evening is not the most attractive word, but in its sound, but it has a really cool meaning. So it's noun, and it's a raised shelf or ledge above an altar for holding altar lights, flowers, etc. So in honor of the word, and in honor of Dia de los Muertos and the All Souls procession, which is happening next Sunday, we have built this altar, which is meant to be also interactive if you want. So if you look over there, there's a stack of paper and pens, and there's a place to put intentions. So if you feel like you're so called to put an intention in there, you're welcome to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But and on the back of your programs, there's room for you to write something in response to the word if you care to. So anyway, thanks so much for being here tonight. And we are here at the beautiful Casa Libre, which is a nonprofit literary arts organization that hosts literary programs throughout the year. So workshops, readings like the one we are at right now. And yay, Casa Libre, woo! So, here it is, okay. So there was a $5 suggested donation for tonight's reading. If you can't do that, then that's okay. But all of the money that you give us this evening goes back to supporting Casa Libre. So it goes back into buying food and taking care of programs, holding readings, that kind of thing. So I'm going to circulate this box, and if you have anything. Also, if you want to throw in more or throw in less, that's cool too. This light is insanely warm. It is really crazy. So we're just going with it. Okay, so we have a esteemed group of readers with us tonight. Kimmy Eisel, Sarah Kortemeyer, Christy Maxwell, Ted McCloof, Kristen Nelson, and Johanna Scribsbrud. And so you have all of their bios in here. So when I call them up, I'm just going to introduce you to them, tell you what their favorite word is, and then they'll come up and they'll read their piece that was inspired by Readtable. And by way of introduction, I'm going to read something that I wrote, and just start that. So one more time, because I kind of rushed through it last time. Retable is a noun, a raised shelf or ledge above an altar for holding altar lights, flowers, etc. This is called altar, A-L-T-A-R, / altar, A-L-T-E-R, and offering. A block away from my house stands a small adobe grotto. An altar, I thought to myself the first time I saw it. I had recently moved into the neighborhood and was taking my dog Magnolia on a walk. I went out on the street to get a closer view. The altar stood shorter than me, around 4 feet tall and 5 feet wide. The sides curved up into an arch, but the inside was empty. It sat on the street side of the sidewalk, away from the nearest house. Was this part of someone's property? I wondered who had built it and when it had been used before. I watched the altar for a month or so, finding myself wanting to put something inside, but resisting, worrying about trespassing. It wasn't until Dia de los Muertos that I finally decided to do something. Dia de los Muertos is a big deal in Tucson. People make altars and floats as tributes to their loved ones. They paint their faces and dress up. They process downtown. Local dancers and actors create a performance that culminates in the burning of a luminescent urn full of people's intentions and wishes for the dead and for the living. I had put on a black 50s-style dress, and my face was painted to resemble a skull. I wore a black hat with purple flowers and banners that bore tribute to my grandmothers, Celeste with her spools of thread and a needle, and Josephine, whose banner was adorned with wooden spoon and rice. Before I went to join the throngs on 4th Avenue, I placed a red candle with the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe in the altar. This was meant to be a sacred place, I thought. I hoped no one would object. I passed by later that evening to see if it was still there. It was. Driving home from teaching the next evening, I noticed the candle still burning. Months went by and the candle stayed there alone. Then 3 months later, while walking the dog, I noticed a bit of color through a crack in the side of the grotto. There was something in there. I peeked and saw a painting in reds and blues and purples. A few days later, I saw a rolled-up flannel shirt and some old jeans and assumed a homeless person was using it as a place to store his things. But by the following week, when I peeked again, I saw the clothes and paintings were gone, and in their place was a treasure trove of objects. A blue ribbon with what looked like a bell, an old bicycle chain that someone had shaped to form a heart, a tiny yellow Lego man perched on one of the indented ledges, a magazine article. There were small fruits plucked or fallen before they grew larger. There was a collage of a bear and trees made from magazine cutouts. There was a flattened penny, a few small stones. Each item a token of someone's being, left as a prayer or intention. I didn't know the people who left these, but I loved that they did. I returned home and picked up 2 things, a pine cone I'd placed on my own altar and a postcard of a friend's artwork, which involved pieces of fabric stitched together as in a quilt. I left them there. When I studied in Rome, I saw the altars that were carved into the sides of buildings, and it was reassuring to me, these unexpected places for prayers to be said and stored. Often at the back was a mural of Mary. I had no idea how long these spaces had been there, but suspected a long time, given that Rome is a place where brand new buildings live alongside ruins. Tucson, too, is a place where history lives right alongside progress. Things are abandoned, but their remains are left undisturbed. Whether this be altars or shrines or abandoned cars, buildings in disrepair. There is a feeling in the air that this place is old, that the town, the old pueblo, has been through many stages, and that its current one is just that, a stage, one that will be altered, forgotten in ways over the course of time. And yet the fragments of buildings, of structures, the fading names on brick remind us that there was another time, a time just as full of memory and story, long before we came here. And the part of me that seeks solidity and security finds solace in that. Things will change, and not everything made will disappear. The word altar, a raised structure, usually of stone, later of bronze, where sacrifices were altered or incense burned, has its origins before the year 1000. According to a dictionary, it is probably akin to the Latin adellere, to ritually burn, or the Umbrian uretu, let it burn. Chris Delmhorst wrote a song inspired by the novel The Death of Virgil, which explores the moment when, on his deathbed, Virgil asked his friends to burn the Aeneid. He had tried, but he had failed to accomplish what he aspired to, and he wanted the story to burn with him. They, of course, did not complete his final desire. The refrain of the song is, "Let it burn, let it burn, let it burn." But in the song that immediately follows it, she sings, "In twilight and blindness, all our work is done. We fumble and flail, we try and we fail, we only are what we almost become." It's both our curse and our grace here in this place to reach for heights that we'll never climb. And the distance between the drop and the dream is our one little piece of the divine. It's a weak little flame, but it's all we've got to our name. So why be ashamed to let it burn? The word alter, A-L-T-E-R, different by just one letter, comes from the Latin alterare, to change, worsen. While alter doesn't necessarily mean alter negatively, it often has that tenor. When something is burned, it is necessarily altered. And in adding something to an altar, we change it. It is not the same as it was before we brought our offering. And yet, we hope what we bring does not diminish it, that it instead increases its wealth of meaning and story. Over the next year, the altar by my house would at sometimes hold many things and other times be completely empty. Then construction began for a large student housing complex on the other side of the street, and when I passed by one day, I saw the altar had collapsed. The foundation was there, but the arch was completely gone. I felt my heart sink into my stomach. This was the end, I thought, and somehow the absence felt gaping. And then, just a month or so ago, when I walked by, I saw a collection of objects resting in what is left of the altar, tucked inside, letters and drawings and ribbons. This altar is ultimately, whether filled or not, a container for objects, but really a container for our deepest desires and fears, for the things we cannot speak aloud and can only articulate in the form of flattened copper pennies and scraps from magazines and dollar store candles. And the altar receives these from us without judgment. We store in it all that we know and all that we hope to be true. Our wishes rest within it, our dreams for ourselves and for one another. The desires we dare not speak for fear of them not coming true, these reside there. In what way do our stories belong to us, and in what way are they incomprehensibly but inevitably part of a larger collective story, one we don't understand or have control over? I believe it is our existence in this larger story that makes us create altars, to house the things that we alone cannot hold. Not because we cannot handle them, but because they do not belong solely to us. These griefs, these joys, these unanswerable questions, this unending sorrow, this canyon of gratitude, these are brought into public view because they must be, resting inside every object the hush of one word, witness. That's it.